The room was quiet. Too quiet. Ambassador Catherine Wilson sat at her large desk in the human embassy on Zalax Prime. Her fingers tapped on the smooth metal surface. She was waiting for the weekly update from the Arcturus colony. The message was late. This was not like them. Catherine checked her watch again. 3 hours late now. Something was wrong. The door to her office slid open. Alan Phillips walked in. He was her deputy and had been with her for 5 years now. His face was pale. "Madam Ambassador," he said, his voice shaking. "You need to see this." Catherine frowned. Alan was not a man who got scared easily. "What is it?" "The Zalaxian Emperor has made an announcement. It's being broadcast across all channels in the galaxy." Alan touched the control panel on the wall. A large screen came down from the ceiling. He pressed another button, and the screen lit up. The face of Emperor Zulik filled the screen. His purple skin gleamed under the lights. His 4 eyes blinked slowly. The 2 upper eyes were fixed on the camera. The lower eyes moved around, looking at something off-screen. "People of the Galactic Empire," the Emperor said. His voice was deep and smooth. "Today we show the galaxy what happens to those who question our rule." The camera moved. It showed a large open area. Rows of humans stood there, men, women, and even some children. Their hands were tied behind their backs. Their faces showed fear. Some were crying. Others looked straight ahead, their faces blank. Catherine stood up slowly. She knew those faces. They were from the Arcturus colony. Her colony. Her people. The humans of Arcturus have been found guilty of plotting against the Empire. The Emperor continued. "Their punishment is death." "No," Catherine whispered. Her legs felt weak. She grabbed the edge of her desk to stay standing. Rows of Zalaxian soldiers raised their weapons. The weapons glowed with blue energy. "No!" Catherine shouted louder. But the Emperor could not hear her. This was a recording. The weapons fired. Beams of blue light hit the rows of humans. They fell to the ground. All of them. In seconds, 50,000 humans were dead. The camera moved back to the Emperor's face. He was smiling. "Let this be a lesson to all who think of standing against us," he said. Then the screen went black. The room was silent again. Catherine could hear her own heart beating fast in her chest. She could hear Alan's quick, shallow breaths. "How many?" she asked, her voice hard. 50,000, Alan said. "The entire colony." Catherine closed her eyes. 50,000 lives. Gone. Just like that. Because of a lie. There was no plot against the Empire. The colony was peaceful. They were farmers, teachers, families. "The other ambassadors are calling for an emergency meeting," Alan said. "They want to know what Earth will do." Catherine opened her eyes. They were cold now. Hard. "Get me a secure line to Earth. I need to speak with the President now." Alan nodded and left the room quickly. Catherine turned back to the screen. She pressed a button, and the broadcast played again. She watched it all, every second. She needed to remember this moment. This was the moment when everything would change. An hour later, Catherine walked into the Grand Council chamber of the Galactic Embassy. The room was large, with seats for representatives from all 200 member species of the Galactic Empire. Today, all seats were filled. As Catherine walked to the human seat, the room fell quiet. All eyes watched her, some with pity, some with fear. What would the humans do? They were new to the galaxy, young, but there were rumors about them. Rumors that they were more dangerous than they seemed. Catherine sat down. Her face showed no emotion, but inside she was burning with rage. The Zalaxian representative, Lord Drazkar, stood up. He was tall, nearly 7 feet. His purple skin had the same shine as the Emperor's. "The Zalaxian Empire regrets the need for such harsh measures," he said. His voice echoed in the quiet room. But the humans of Arcturus were planning rebellion. We had proof. The punishment was just under imperial law. Catherine listened without moving. The lies made her anger grow stronger. Ambassador Wilson, the council leader said, "Do you wish to speak?" Catherine stood up slowly. She looked around the room. 200 different species. Some had been part of the Empire for thousands of years. Humans had joined only 50 years. Ego. "The Terran Confederation has reviewed the broadcast," she said. Her voice was calm but cold. "We have also reviewed our own records from Arcturus colony. There was no plot against the Empire, no rebellion. The colonists were innocent." Lord Drazkar laughed. "You would say that, but our intelligence was wrong," Catherine cut him off. "Or more likely, it was a lie, a reason to kill our people." The room grew tense. No one interrupted a Zelaxian lord. It was not done. "The Terran Confederation considers this an act of war," Catherine continued. "You have 72 hours to surrender those responsible for this massacre. The Emperor, Lord Drazkar, the soldiers who fired the weapons, all of them." The room exploded with noise. Representatives shouted, some in support of Catherine, others calling her demands impossible. "Lord," Drazkar laughed again. "Or what, human? Your species is young, weak. You have only a handful of ships. The Empire has ruled for 10,000 years. We have millions of ships. What will you do?" Catherine smiled. It was not a nice smile. "We will show you why. On our world we have a saying, 'Beware the fury of a patient people.'" She turned and walked out of the chamber. Alan followed her. "They're not going to surrender anyone," he said when they were alone in the hallway. "I know," Catherine replied. "Then, why make the demand? To give them a chance. More than they gave our people." She stopped walking and turned to Alan. "Contact our agents across the Empire. Activate Protocol Thermopylae." Alan's eyes widened. Are you sure? Once we start, there's no going back." "They killed 50,000 of our people, Alan. There was no going back the moment they fired those weapons." Alan nodded. He took out a small device and pressed his thumb against it. "Protocol Thermopylae active," he said quietly. Across the galaxy, hidden human agents received the signal. In secret bases on remote planets in deep space, things began to move. Plans made long ago were now put into action. The Zelaxians and the rest of the galaxy thought they knew humans. They thought humans were weak. They were about to learn how wrong they were. Catherine walked to the window of the embassy. She looked out at the glittering towers of the Galactic capital. In 72 hours, this view would change forever. "For Arcturus," she whispered. Catherine Wilson entered her private quarters in the human embassy. As soon as the door closed behind her, she pressed her palm against a hidden scanner on the wall. A section of the wall slid open, revealing a small room filled with equipment that no diplomat should have. She stepped inside and the wall closed behind her. The lights came on automatically. Catherine walked to a metal cabinet and placed her hand on another scanner. The cabinet opened, revealing weapons, body armor, and communication devices far more advanced than anything humans had shown to the galaxy. Catherine changed out of her diplomatic uniform and into a black bodysuit. It fit her perfectly and had small pockets for weapons and tools. As she dressed, her mind went back 15 years. She had not always been a diplomat. Once, she had been Commander Wilson of Earth's Special Forces. She had led the team that ended the Mars insurrection. 20 rebels had taken over the main dome on Mars. They had threatened to blow it up, killing everyone inside. Catherine and her team had gone in. No one saw them coming. All the rebels were captured. No civilians were hurt. After that mission, she had been given a choice: continue as a soldier or take on a new role, a cover role. She would appear to be a diplomat, but she would actually be setting up Operation Guillotine, a plan created for exactly the situation they now faced. For 15 years, she had played her part. She had smiled at alien dignitaries. She had negotiated trade deals, all while secretly placing agents throughout the galaxy and helping to build Earth's real fleet, the ships that officially did not exist. Catherine finished putting on her gear. She sat at a computer terminal and typed in a long code. The screen lit up showing Admiral Frank Cortez. His dark skin looked gray in the blue light of the screen. His eyes were hard. "We saw the broadcast," he said without greeting. "The Security Council has given unanimous authorization. Protocol Thermopylae is active." "I've already told Alan to send the signal," Catherine said. Cortez nodded. "The fleet is moving into position. They'll reach the jump points in 48 hours. The Zalaxians won't surrender anyone," Catherine said. "We didn't expect them to," Cortez replied. "This was always going to end in war, we just didn't know when." Catherine looked down at her hands. They were steady. 50,000 people, Frank, families, children. "I know." Cortez's voice was soft for a moment, then it hardened again. "We'll make them pay." "Yes, we will," Catherine agreed. "What's my role now?" "Continue as planned. Keep them talking for 72 hours, then get your team to the extraction point. The fleet will be waiting." Catherine nodded. "And then?" "And then we show the galaxy why Earth kept so many secrets." The screen went dark. Catherine sat still for a moment. Then she stood up and went to another cabinet. This one held a small metal device. It was round, about the size of a coin. Catherine picked it up and placed it at the base of her skull. The device attached itself to her skin. She felt a small pinch as tiny wires connected to her nervous system. The neural interface came to life. Data filled her vision. She could now access all of Earth's hidden systems. She could communicate silently with other agents. She could control drones and other devices with just a thought. This technology was one of Earth's most closely guarded secrets. The galaxy thought humans were still using basic communication devices. They had no idea what humans were really capable of. Catherine left the secret room. The wall closed behind her, looking once again like a normal part of her quarters. She changed back into her diplomatic clothes, hiding the neural interface under her hair. A knock came at her door. "Come in," she called. Alan Phillips entered. He too had changed clothes. He now wore the uniform of a diplomatic aide, but Catherine knew that under those clothes he wore the same type of bodysuit she did. Alan had been a master of infiltration and sabotage during the Mars insurrection. His mild-mannered appearance was as much of a cover as Catherine's diplomatic title. "Our agents are in position," Alan said quietly. "The embassy is secure. No one is listening." "Good," Catherine said. "What's happening in the capital?" "Panic," Alan replied with a small smile. "The other species are afraid of what Earth will do. They've never seen humans truly angry before." "They're about to," Catherine said. "What about our people on Zalax Prime? Most are already at the safe houses. The rest will be there by tomorrow. No human will be left behind when this starts." Catherine nodded. "And the special packages?" Alan's smile grew wider. "All in place. Defense systems, communication centers, military headquarters. When we give the signal, half of the Zalaxian military infrastructure on this planet will simply stop working. And the other half? We'll be very confused and very vulnerable." Catherine walked to the window. The sun was setting over the capital city. The tall buildings gleamed in the orange light. It was beautiful in its way. Too bad it would not look like this much longer. "Have you heard from Peter's team?" she asked. Alan nodded. They've finished mapping the Emperor's palace. All security systems, all guard positions. We can get in when the time comes. "Good," Catherine said. "The Emperor will answer for what he's done." She turned away from the window. "Get some rest, Alan. The next 3 days will be busy." After Alan left, Catherine sat at her desk. She opened a drawer and took out a small photo. It showed her with a group of colonists on Arcturus. They were standing in front of the colony's main building. Everyone was smiling. That had been 2 years ago, when she had visited to check on the colony's progress. Now all those people were dead. Catherine put the photo away. She would not look at it again until justice was done. She closed her eyes and contacted the other human agents through her neural interface. There were hundreds of them, spread throughout the capital and across the galaxy. All had received the signal. All were preparing. The Zalaxians thought they knew what humans were. They thought humans were weak, new to the galaxy, still learning. They had no idea that everything humans had shown them for the past 50 years was a carefully crafted lie. Earth had studied alien technology from the first contact. They had improved it, combined it with human innovation, and then hidden their advancements. Earth had created warships more powerful than anything in the Zalaxian fleet. They had weapons that could destroy entire fleets. They had agents in every major system of the galaxy, all waiting for the signal, all waiting for this moment. Catherine opened her eyes. "Computer, show me the latest news broadcasts," she said. The screen on her wall lit up. The Zalaxian news was talking about the human threat. They laughed at the idea that Earth could challenge the Empire. They showed images of Earth's small official fleet. They reminded viewers that humans had been in space for less than 100 years while the Empire had ruled for 10,000. Catherine smiled as she watched. Let them think that. Let them be confident. In 72 hours they would learn the truth, and by then, it would be too late for them. In the darkness of space, far from any official shipping lanes, Earth's real fleet was moving. Ships larger and more powerful than anything the galaxy had seen before. Weapons that even the Zalaxians would fear. And at the center of the fleet, the flagship Retribution led the way. Humanity was coming, and it was bringing vengeance with it. Deep in the Orion Nebula, hidden from all Zalaxian sensors, the largest fleet humans had ever built waited. The swirling gases of the nebula made it impossible for normal scanners to detect anything. It was the perfect hiding place. On the bridge of the flagship Retribution, Admiral Susan Rivera looked at the large screen in front of her. It showed the fleet. 500 warships, each one more powerful than anything the Zalaxians had ever seen. For 50 years, while showing the galaxy only small, weak ships, humans had been building these vessels in secret. "Status report," Susan said. Her voice was calm, but everyone on the bridge could feel her anger. She had watched the broadcast too. She had seen the executions. Like everyone else in the fleet, she was ready for action. "All ships report ready, Admiral," said Commander Greg Howard from his station. "Weapons are charged. Shields are at full power. Jump drives are ready." Susan nodded. She walked to the front of the bridge where the view screen showed the nebula outside. Beautiful swirls of blue and purple gas filled the view. "Communications, patch me through to all ships," she said. "Yes, Admiral. Channel open." Susan took a deep breath. "This is Admiral Rivera to all ships. You've all seen what the Zalaxians did. 50,000 innocent people, men, women, and children, murdered to send a message." She paused. The bridge was silent. Everyone was listening. "For 50 years we've hidden our strength. We've played the part of a young, weak species. We've taken their insults, their cheating in trade deals, their accidental attacks on our ships. We did all that because we weren't ready yet, because we needed time." Susan turned to look at the officers on the bridge. Their faces were hard, determined. "That time is over. In 48 hours we will jump to the Zalaxian home system. We will show them what humans are truly capable of. We will get justice for Arcturus." A cheer went up from the bridge crew. Similar cheers could be heard coming through the communication channel from the other ships. Until then, all ships will run final checks on all systems. Department heads will report every 6 hours. That's all. The communication channel closed. Susan turned to her second-in-command, Captain Roger Martinez. "Any word from the ambassador?" she asked. Roger nodded. "Message received 30 minutes ago. Catherine reports that all agents are in position. Alan's team has planted the disruptors in all key facilities. Peter's team has the palace mapped and is ready to move in." "Good," Susan said. "And our other teams?" "All in position across the galaxy. When we give the signal, every Zalaxian military, base, shipyard, and communication center will be hit at the same time." Susan walked to her command chair and sat down. She and Catherine had planned this for 15 years. They had placed agents on every important planet. They had studied Zalaxian technology and found its weaknesses. They had built weapons specifically, designed to defeat Zalaxian shields. "Let's go over the battle plan one more time," she said. Roger pressed some buttons on his console. A hologram appeared in the center of the bridge. It showed the Zalaxian home system. Planets, moons, space stations, and defense systems were all shown in detail. "Our first target is their early warning system," Roger said, pointing to several small stations at the edge of the system. "Catherine's agents will disable these at the exact moment we jump in. The Zalaxians will have no warning of our arrival." The hologram changed to show the main planet, Zalax Prime. "Our second target is their orbital defense grid. Again, Catherine's agents will disable most of it. Our ships will take out whatever is still working." Susan nodded. It was a good plan. Quick, efficient, and designed to minimize casualties on, both sides. Humans wanted justice, not genocide. "And the Emperor?" she asked. "Catherine's team will move in as soon as we start our attack. They'll capture him and his top commanders. We'll bring them to Earth for trial." Susan leaned back in her chair. The plan was solid. They had thought of everything. But still, there was a knot in her stomach. This would be the first real test of Earth's secret fleet. They had run simulations. They had tested their weapons in remote systems, but they had never fought a real battle against the Zalaxian military. "What about their main fleet?" she asked. Roger changed the hologram again. Now it showed the location of the Zalaxian warships. Most of their fleet is scattered across the galaxy. By the time they can return to Zalax Prime, it will be over. The ships that are in the home system are here, here, and here. He pointed to 3 different locations. "Our intelligence suggests they are at low alert status. They don't expect any attack, especially not from us." Susan stood up and walked around the hologram, studying it from all angles. "And our new weapons? The phase disruptors?" "All ships are equipped with them. Tests show they can disable a Zalaxian warship without destroying it. The crew will be unharmed, but the ship will be dead in space." That was important to Susan. She wanted to defeat the Zalaxians, not slaughter them. The goal was justice, not revenge. The people responsible for the Arcturus massacre would be punished, but ordinary Zalaxian soldiers and civilians were not the enemy. "Very good," Susan said. "Keep me updated on any changes." Roger nodded and left the bridge. Susan remained, looking at the hologram. In 2 days, the galaxy would change forever. The Zalaxian Empire had ruled for 10,000 years. They thought they were untouchable. They were about to learn how wrong they were. In her private quarters, Susan looked at a photo on her desk. It showed her with her family on Earth. Her husband, her 2 children. They were the reason she fought, to protect them, to make sure that what happened to Arcturus never happened to Earth. She picked up a small device from her desk. It was a direct link to the President of Earth. She pressed her thumb against it, and it lit up. The President's face appeared on a small screen. "Admiral," the President said, "is everything ready?" "Yes, sir," Susan replied. "The fleet will jump in 48 hours, as planned." The President nodded. He looked tired. He had been the one to give the final order for Protocol Thermopylae. It was not a decision made lightly. "The people of Earth are with you, Admiral," he said. "Get justice for Arcturus." "We will, sir," Susan promised. The call ended. Susan put the device back on her desk. She went to the window of her quarters. From here she could see part of the fleet. Powerful ships, hidden for years, now ready for war. The Zalaxians thought they knew what humans were. They were wrong. Humans had learned long ago that in a dangerous galaxy, it was best to hide your strength, to let potential enemies underestimate you. The Zalaxians had fallen for it completely. In 48 hours they would learn the truth. And by then, it would be too late for them to do anything about it. Susan turned away from the window. It was time to prepare. The next 2 days would decide the future of humanity in the galaxy, and Susan Rivera intended to make sure it was a future where no one would ever again think humans were weak or easy targets. The countdown to justice had begun. The 72-hour deadline was almost up. Catherine Wilson stood in front of the mirror in her quarters, checking her appearance one last time. She wore her formal diplomatic uniform. It was white with gold trim, the colors of Earth's diplomatic corps. It looked peaceful, non-threatening, perfect for the lie she had been living for 15 years. Under the uniform, she wore her combat suit, thin but stronger than steel. It would stop most weapons. In her sleeve was a small device that, with a thought through her neural interface, would transform into a powerful energy weapon. More weapons and tools were hidden throughout her clothes. "It's time," Alan said from the doorway. He too wore his diplomatic uniform, and like Catherine, he was armed and ready for combat. Catherine nodded. "Let's go." They walked through the human embassy. Other human staff joined them. All of them looked like normal diplomats or embassy workers. All of them were actually soldiers, spies, or special agents. The embassy had always been more of a military base than a diplomatic post. They left the embassy and got into a large transport vehicle. It would take them to the Grand Council chamber for the final meeting before the deadline expired. As they traveled through the capital city, Catherine looked out the window. Zalaxian citizens went about their day. They had no idea what was about to happen. Catherine felt a moment of sadness. These ordinary people would soon have their lives changed forever. But there was no other way now. The Empire had made its choice when it murdered 50,000 humans. The transport arrived at the Grand Council chamber. Catherine and her team got out and walked up the steps to the entrance. Alien diplomats from many worlds were also arriving. They looked at the humans with a mixture of fear, pity, and curiosity. What would these strange young aliens do now that their deadline was about to expire? Inside the chamber, Catherine took her seat. The other humans spread out, taking positions throughout the room. To anyone watching, they looked like they were simply finding seats. But they were actually positioning themselves for what would come next. Lord Drazakar, the Zalaxian representative, stood at the center of the chamber. He looked confident, even smug. "The human's deadline expires in 1 hour," he said. His voice was loud, meant to carry to all corners of the large room. "They demanded we surrender our emperor and military leaders for punishment. Naturally, we refuse. The Zalaxian Empire does not bow to the demands of a young, weak species." Many of the alien representatives nodded. The Empire had ruled for so long that most could not imagine it being challenged. "Ambassador Wilson," the council leader said, "do you wish to speak before the deadline expires?" Catherine stood up and walked to the center of the chamber. She stood facing Lord Drazakar. "The Terran Confederation gave you a chance," she said. Her voice was calm. "You chose not to take it. What happens next is on your hands." Lord Drazakar laughed. "And what exactly will happen, human? Your handful of ships will attack our mighty empire? Your few thousand soldiers will fight our millions? Please tell us your plan. We could all use some amusement today." Catherine did not answer. She checked the time on her neural interface. 30 minutes until the deadline. Right on schedule. She received a message from Admiral Rivera. The fleet was in position, ready to jump. "Nothing to say?" Lord Drazakar mocked. "Perhaps you've realized how foolish your threats were." Catherine smiled. It was not a pleasant smile. "We are not here to talk anymore," she said. "We are here to act." She sent a mental command through her neural interface. Across the capital city, hidden devices activated. The power went out in the council chamber. Emergency lights came on, casting the room in a dim red glow. "What is this?" Lord Drazakar demanded. "A power failure? Is this your great plan?" Then his communication device beeped. He answered it. Catherine could not hear what was said, but she saw his face change. His confidence vanished, replaced by confusion and the first hint of fear. "That's not possible," he said into the device. "Check again." But more calls were coming in. All around the chamber, alien representatives were getting messages. Their faces showed shock, disbelief, fear. The main screen in the chamber suddenly lit up. It showed the space above Zalax Prime. Where there had been nothing but stars before, there was now a fleet. 500 warships had appeared out of nowhere. They were larger and more menacing than anything the Zalaxians had ever built. "What is this?" Lord Drazakar gasped. "Where did these ships come from?" "From Earth," Catherine said. "This is the real fleet of the Terran Confederation. What you've seen before was just what we wanted you to see." The screen changed to show Admiral Rivera on the bridge of the Retribution. "This is Admiral Susan Rivera of the Terran Defense Fleet," she said. Her voice echoed through the chamber. "Your shields are down, your weapons are offline, we control your communication networks. Surrender those responsible for the Arcturus massacre." The chamber erupted in chaos. Alien representatives shouted questions, demands, pleas. Lord Drazkar stood frozen, staring at the screen. "How?" he finally asked, turning to Catherine. "How is this possible? Your species is still young. You don't have this technology." "We've had it for decades," Catherine said. "We just didn't show it to you. We studied your technology from our first contact. We improved it. We combined it with our own ideas. And then we hid it all because we saw what you did to species that showed their strength too soon." On the screen, Zalaxian defense stations were going dark one by one. Their power shut down by devices planted by human agents months or years before. Zalaxian ships tried to respond, but their systems were not working properly. Some drifted helplessly in space. Others managed to fire weapons, but the shots were easily absorbed by the shields of the human ships. "Your fleet is scattered across the galaxy," Catherine continued. "By the time they can return, this will be over. Your Emperor will stand trial for his crimes. The massacre of Arcturus will be avenged." Lord Drazkar's face changed. The fear was replaced by anger. "You think you've won? The Empire has ruled for 10,000 years. We have faced challenges before. We have overcome them all." He pulled out a weapon. It was small but deadly. He pointed it at Catherine. "If I die today, I'll take Earth's ambassador with me." But before he could fire, Alan moved. He had been slowly getting closer during the chaos. Now he struck faster than anyone could follow. The weapon flew from Lord Drazkar's hand. He fell to his knees, gasping in pain. "That was unwise," Alan said calmly, standing over him. Catherine looked around the chamber. Other Zalaxian officials had also drawn weapons, but human agents had subdued them all. No shots had been fired. No one had been killed. It was exactly as planned. "This is not a war," Catherine said to the stunned alien representatives. "This is justice. The only people who will be punished are those responsible for the Arcturus massacre. The rest of the galaxy will continue as before. But the time of the Zalaxian Empire is over." The screen changed again. It now showed the Emperor's palace. Human agents led by Peter had breached it. The Emperor was being taken into custody. He looked shocked, unable to believe what was happening. Catherine turned to the council leader. "The Terran Confederation will address the full council tomorrow. We will explain what happens next. Until then, everyone should remain calm. No one else needs to be hurt." With that, she nodded to Alan and the other human agents. They moved quickly, surrounding Lord Drazkar and the other Zalaxian officials. They would be taken to Earth for trial, along with the Emperor. As Catherine left the chamber, she sent a message to Admiral Rivera through her neural interface. "Phase 1 complete. The Emperor and Lord Drazkar are in custody. Moving to extraction point now." "Understood," came the reply. "The fleet is in position. All Zalaxian military resistance has been neutralized. No casualties on either side." Catherine smiled. The plan had worked perfectly. Years of preparation, of hiding, of playing the weak young species had paid off. The galaxy was about to change, and humanity would never be underestimated again. 3 days after the human fleet appeared over Zalax Prime, the Grand Council chamber was filled again. Representatives from all species in the galaxy had come to hear what would happen next. The fall of the Zalaxian Empire after 10,000 years of rule had shocked everyone. Catherine Wilson stood at the center of the chamber. She wore a new uniform. Not the white and gold of Earth's diplomatic corps, but the blue and silver of Earth's military. She no longer needed to hide who she really was. Admiral Susan Rivera stood beside her. This was her first time on Zalax Prime. She had commanded the fleet from orbit during the operation. Now she had come down to stand with Catherine as they addressed the galaxy. The chamber was quiet. Everyone was waiting to hear what the humans would say. Would they declare themselves the new rulers of the galaxy? Would they demand tribute from all worlds? Would they punish those who had supported the Zalaxians? 3 days ago, Catherine began, the Terran Confederation took control of the Zalaxian homeworld and key military installations throughout the galaxy. The Emperor and his high command are now in custody on Earth. They will stand trial for the murder of 50,000 innocent humans on Arcturus. She paused, looking around the chamber. The alien representatives watched her with a mixture of fear, respect, and curiosity. During our investigation, we discovered something important, Catherine continued. The massacre at Arcturus was not just a show of power. It was a cover-up. The colony had discovered evidence that the Zalaxians were developing illegal biological weapons designed specifically to kill humans. Gasps and murmurs filled the chamber. Biological weapons designed to target specific species were forbidden by galactic law. Even the Empire had always claimed to follow this rule. The evidence will be presented at the trial, Susan added. But we have confirmed it is real. The Empire was planning to use these weapons against Earth if we ever became too much of a problem for them. The room grew quiet again. The representatives looked at each other nervously. If the humans knew this, what else did they know? Had the Empire been developing weapons to use against other species too? You may be wondering what happens next, Catherine said. Many of you probably expect us to take the Empire's place, to become the new rulers of the galaxy. She smiled. That is not what humans want. We have no desire to rule over others. What we want is simple, justice for Arcturus, and a galaxy where no species can dominate all others through force and fear. Susan stepped forward. The Terran Confederation proposes the formation of a new galactic council, not ruled by any one species, but a true partnership of equals. Each member world will have one vote. Decisions will be made together. The chamber erupted in noise. Representatives talked excitedly to each other. Some looked skeptical, others hopeful. The idea of a galaxy not dominated by the Zalaxian Empire was new and strange to most of them. What about the Zalaxian people? Asked one representative. Will they be punished for their leaders' actions? No, Catherine said firmly. We hold only those directly responsible for the massacre accountable. Ordinary Zalaxian citizens are not our enemies. They will have the same rights as any other species in the new council. Another representative stood up. And if we choose not to join this new council? That is your right, Susan replied. Any world that wishes to remain independent may do so. But trade and diplomatic relations will be easier between council members. It is in everyone's interest to work together. The questions continued for hours. Catherine and Susan answered them all patiently. They explained how the new council would work, how trade would be fair for all, how a joint fleet would be formed to protect all member worlds. As the meeting ended, many representatives came to speak to the humans privately. They had more questions, more concerns. But there was something else too. Hope. For many species, life under the Empire had been hard. The idea of true independence, of equal partnership with others, was exciting. Later, Catherine and Susan stood on a balcony overlooking the capital city. The sun was setting, painting the sky in shades of purple and orange. Do you think it will work? Susan asked. This new council? Catherine nodded. It will take time. Change always does. But yes, I think it will work. Most species don't want war or domination. They want peace, trade, cultural exchange, things that benefit everyone. And if some don't join? If some try to become the new empire? Catherine looked at her friend. Then they'll have to deal with us. And now everyone knows what that means, Susan smiled. They both knew that humanity would not have to fight any large wars anytime soon. The display of power over Zalax Prime had been seen throughout the galaxy. No one would challenge Earth for a very long time. The first ships are leaving for Arcturus tomorrow, Susan said, to build a memorial. Catherine nodded. They had not forgotten why all this had happened. 50,000 lives, families, children, friends, all gone in a moment of cruelty. The memorial would ensure they were remembered. Will you go? Susan asked. Yes, Catherine said. I need to say goodbye. Then I'll return to help build this new council. The next day, Catherine stood on the bridge of a ship bound for Arcturus. Through the view screen, she could see other ships joining them. Not just human ships. Vessels from 20 different species were making the journey. Their representatives wanted to pay their respects too. As the ships prepared to jump to faster than light speed, Catherine thought about the future. The galaxy had changed forever. The long rule of the Zalaxian Empire was over. A new age was beginning. One where humans would play a major role. It had been a hard lesson for the galaxy to learn. Humans might look peaceful, they might prefer trade and friendship to war. But when pushed too far, when their people were threatened, they were the most dangerous species anyone had ever seen. The ship jumped to faster than light speed. Catherine watched the stars stretch into lines of light. She thought of the Arcturus colonists. Their deaths had changed the galaxy. Because of them, billions of beings were now free from the Empire's rule. It was not the legacy they would have chosen, but it was one that would be remembered for thousands of years to come. On worlds across the galaxy, the story spread. How humanity, when pushed too far, had revealed itself as the most formidable species in known space, not through conquest but through justice, not seeking to rule but to free. And in the hearts of tyrants everywhere, a new fear was born. The fear of the quiet species, the ones who hid their strength, the ones who watched and waited and prepared, the ones who, when finally provoked, could change the course of history in 3 days. The humans had arrived on the galactic stage, and nothing would ever be the same again.